Okay, by request, this is the chapter 1, 2, 3 test review. Chapter 2, question 1. It is a rational expressions question. It is a division. Questions like this, you're going to have to just ingrain in your mind that when it asks you to simplify, that's literally what it is. It's going to simplify. And hopefully, it simplifies into a very short and concise rational expression, which you might have guessed involves a whole bunch of reducing or dividing out. So before you do anything, you want to check if things do in fact divide. So what you're going to have to do is factor. If you're stuck on a question like this, chances are it's largely because you are having trouble factoring. First off, I see that the first polynomial or trinomial is going to start with an x to the power of 3. We haven't really learned how to factor x to the power of 3 being in the grade 11 level. But what you might also notice that each of these terms have an x to divide out. I'm actually going to factor that before I do anything else, leaving you a quadratic equation or expression, sorry. It's a parabola. So we should be able to factor that out. I'm also going to change this into the reciprocal ahead of time, just in case I get so busy with the factoring that I forget. Oh, that one I can also factor out. I see a 8 and a 50 have a common number 2. That could be 4x squared minus 25. And I like that for obvious reasons in the future. Stay tuned. Okay. So again, our goal hasn't changed. We need to factor. This is going to be 2 brackets. This is going to be 2 brackets. So 2 binomials and 2 times 2 binomials. I'm going to say it right off the bat. Start with the first one, 6x squared minus 13x minus 5. Two numbers that multiply to negative 30 but add to negative 13. Positive 15. So negative 15, sorry, positive 2. And if I group factor the first two terms and common factor out of that, common factor the first two terms, leaving me a 5 plus. There's nothing I can factor out of the last two terms, leaving me with just 1. So the 2 brackets or the 2 binomials that are multiplying are going to be these 2. So I'm going to write 2x minus 5, 3x plus 1. Let's do the denominator now. 6x squared minus x minus 1. Two numbers that multiply to negative 6, but add to negative 1. That's going to be negative 3x plus 2. Again, I am going to common factor from the first two terms, leaving me 2x minus 1, and common factor from the last two terms, which I can't, so it's just 1, leaving me 2x minus 1 and 3x plus 1. So the denominator here is 2x minus 1, 3x plus 1. Now let's do the numerator. Whew, getting tired yet? 2x squared plus 5x minus 4. So I think by now you get it. If you don't know how to factor, or if you're having trouble with that, that's going to be the biggest hiccup. If you recognize that that's a weakness for you, maybe you want to leave these questions the last, because it is going to be a time killer and it's only going to be worth a certain amount of marks. So use the time that you have on a test wisely. Two numbers that are going to multiply to negative 24, but add to a 5. Positive 8, negative 3. Positive 8, negative 3. That's going to be common factoring the first two terms. That's going to be 2x, leaving me 3x plus 4. And I'm going to factor out a negative 1. Reason being, you always want the x value, the x term, to be positive. So if you have a negative 3x, how do you make that positive? Divide out a negative 1. This numerator turns into 2x minus 1. So the top is 3x plus 4, 2x minus 1. And lastly, this is a difference of squares. What times what gives you 4x squared? 2x. What times what gives you negative 25? Plus 5 minus 5. We're good. Let me use a different color and make it satisfying every time you cross out. I mean, you've done a lot of work, so why not reward yourself by making it satisfying? 2x minus 3, 2x minus 3. 3x plus 1, 3x plus 1. 2x minus 1, 2x minus 1. And that's it. So in blue, the final answer is going to be x times 3x plus 4, 2x plus 5. And my restrictions, please be careful. You got to go back to the original. The restrictions come from the denominators, of course, and the denominator. But when you're dividing fractions, it also involves a numerator of the fraction you're dividing, because if that numerator happens to be a 0, then you are technically dividing by a value of 0. And so that's just as bad as having a denominator as 0. Is the same idea. If that doesn't seem to make sense, take a look at this. This denominator, you already know, can't be a 0. This denominator, you already know, can't be a 0. But when I do the reciprocal, guess what? This is a new denominator, which came from, the numerator up here. So that's another argument that you can make. You have to check for restrictions from all three, which means you have to check the restrictions from here, here, and here. So watch me do it. We've got starting from here. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in that order. Ready? X cannot be 1 over 2, negative 1 over 3, negative 4 over 3, 1 over 2, which we already did, negative 5 over 2, and positive 5 over 2. So by convention, writing the smallest number first, negative 5 over 2, negative 4 over 3, negative 1 over 3, 1 over 2, and 5 over 2 are my restrictions for this question. Hope that was clear enough. I know I went fast, but again, majority of the difficulty, I think, comes from being able to factor correctly, but also quickly and efficiently. Your best. If you have any other questions, leave it in the comment in our Google Classroom, and I'll see you in the next one.